I don't really care if you're naked, but don't sit.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Deluxe Edition, the show where we love to talk shit about all kinds of crazy classic pop culture. I'm here as always with Mr. Casey Shearer. How you doing, buddy?
Good, Bill. How are you, buddy?
See, I fucked up because I already, I'm supposed to say my name first and then your name because I want to go right into the show. I always forget. I'd never be a good announcer for the Tonight Show. Could you imagine your job is every day, all you do is pull in and you say, "It's the Tonight Show," and that's it. That's your job. I could never do that. I'd fuck it all up.
That would be fucking incredible, dude. I would do that. If I had the voice for that, that would be the best job in the world. What was that guy's name? Don Gilbert or something like that? Wasn't it?
Well, there's Don Pardo.
Don
Hello,
Pardo.
I'm Don Pardo. You get a lifetime supply of rice-a-roni. I just remember his voice being on the Weird Al album. And then I was like, oh, okay, he's famous for being the announcer of Saturday Night Live. I thought he was just a Weird Al guy.
Yeah, no, when you have a voice like that, you're the voiceover guy. Like, there's so many of those old guys, they're just not around anymore like that.
Yeah. No. You can do that or you can work at strip clubs. Please welcome to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from... Not that I ever go to strip clubs, Casey. I'm an absolute gentleman. I've never been to one. But listen, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about today's show. You actually booked somebody today that I don't know a whole hell of a lot about. So why don't you tell us who you booked?
Deborah Voorhees. You know Deborah from the Friday the 13th movie, right?
So, yes, but everybody remembers her for a few reasons, right? She's a standout. You're smiling, right? Most animals remember her from, the nude scene because it seems to be Friday the 13th fans' most favorite nude scene. Not me. Again, I'm an absolute gentleman. That is not how I know her name. I just remember her name because I always thought it was interesting that her real last name is Voorhees and she was in a Friday the 13th movie.
You cover your eyes during those scenes?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like last night when I was watching a movie with my nephew Andy, I had to tell him to cover his eyes during the sex scene in the movie.
Yeah, I would always do that watching anything that would come up on a movie that I'm watching with my parents. Cover your eyes. Okay. And it's the old peek through the folded fingers across your face. Put your face. It's no, they knew I was watching it. Remember how weird it was too? Nudity used to be real prevalent in the 80s, and then it kind of died down in the 90s. Same with guitar solos. Guitar solos and nudity went away in the 90s, but you used to see nudity in everything, and it would be PG, and there were still, there were still nude scenes in it.
Right.
But Friday the 13th movies, man, they were full of nude scenes.
A lot of the fan questions that we got that I'm not going to bring up during the interview at all had a lot to do with Deborah's breasts.
Interesting. You're not going to bring up any of those questions. You're a gentleman too. All right. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, I'll say that some of our fans and the Friday the 13th fans are savages, and they did want to know about the nude scene, but we'll ask her about some other things.
Because we're too shy.
Deborah has a lot going on right now. She has a movie coming out that I'm sure she will be talking about. That's why she's doing a lot of the promo stuff right now.
Yeah, so what is the movie?
Yeah, the movie is called 13 Fanboy. And just the basic premise of it, I think, is, how we even talked about it on this show, the dark side of Hollywood. These conventions and stuff that all these celebrities go to, they have fanboys. A lot of these people have fanboys.
Yeah, so I saw the trailer. I think the trailer, if I got this right, it just came out a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's got everybody in it from, those faces that it's everybody that we should interview. It's, it's the caliber of guests that we love to get. So I remember I was looking at it. I saw D. Wallace Stone is in it. I was like, oh, I start seeing some of these faces pop up again. It's cool. It's like a love letter. It's like a love letter to Friday the 13th fans. That's at least how I'm taking it.
Yeah, we can't have our Friday the 13th movies, so let's get something with everyone from the Friday the 13th movies in it.
Well, how many people did you recognize in the movie, or did you even look at the IMDb page yet?
I didn't look at the IMDb page. I recognized a lot of them, like Kane Hodder, D. Lar Park. I saw Lar Park Lincoln in there, right?
Yeah. Did you see C.J. Graham, who we talked to?
C.J. Graham, I saw him. We talked to C.J. Corey Feldman, I saw.
That's right, Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman, blockusonTwitter.com. Isn't that the website we were going to start one day?
That webpage would be So full.
So the thing I noticed watching this, I'm trying to understand, is it kind of like a fictional movie where they splice in real stuff because there was a lot of convention footage and things like that? Is it kind of like half fiction, half documentary, or is it full fiction? Because if it's full fiction, it looked a little like there's a. Do you know there's a Freddy Krueger movie that sort of turned the whole Freddy franchise on its ear? It's the last one. It's called A New Nightmare. It was
No.
it wasn't the last one if you technically count other things, but The New Nightmare was written by. Damn it, Casey. The names just go right out of my head as I get older. But everybody knows
Wes
him.
Craven.
He is who?
Wes Craven.
Wes Craven. Thank you so much for saving me. I would have just edited it out to make myself look better anyway. Wes Craven, he kind of came back and he rewrote this new version of Nightmare on Elm Street. It was a killer story. I didn't love the movie, but the idea was ballsy. Like, let's just say, we made 6 of the movies this way. Let's come in and rewrite the whole thing. And in that movie, basically, somebody's killing off the people who made the original Nightmare on Elm Street movies, right? And then you find out at the end it's a demon who took the shape of Freddy Krueger, so it's Freddy, but as a different version of Freddy. So as I'm watching this trailer, I'm like, it's kind of like getting that vibe.
I don't know anything about the Freddy Krueger stuff, so never been into it. So I take your word for it, but we can ask her about it for sure.
Yeah, these indie movies, I mean, they're good. They can be written. They can be really clever. It doesn't just because they're low budget doesn't mean that they need to be thrown away. So for fans like us, this is ideal.
Hell yeah, man! All right, hey, let's get into the interview. I think she's going to be here very soon, but very quickly, Bill, we have a new sponsor, Bear Claw Kitchen. This stuff, man, granola. They have granola and granola bars. All different flavors. Go to bearclawkitchen.com and punch in Deluxe 15 and get 15% off. This stuff, man, I already ate all of the samples that they sent me, and I had to order more so I could show it because we haven't recorded in a couple weeks. This shit is good. I travel all the time. It's great. You just throw these little packets of granola. They have all different kinds of flavors. Go to their website, bearclawkitchen.com. Deluxe 15. Stuff's good, Bill.
Very good. I like some granola. How come you got it? I didn't get any.
Well, I'm the marketing guy.
All right.
We're going to get you some. We'll get you some.
All right. How about we flip over to our interview with Deborah Voorhees? Hi, Deborah. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so happy to have you here.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you having me.
You've probably been real busy. Your new trailer came out. It just came out a few days ago.
Busy. Just a tiny bit busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It did. I'm really thrilled to have it out there now.
How's the reception been so far?
Very good. Excellent. I've been really happy with it.
Did people know? So I was actually not familiar with it somehow, and I'm a pretty big fan. And it came up. Casey found it. He goes, "Do you know what's going on here?" And we were kind of like watching it all along. And then when the trailer came out, I said, "Okay, I'm even a little bit more confused on what the movie is. It's really interesting." So it looks to me like it's a love letter to Friday the 13th fans.
Well, honestly, the movie is about a stalker who is going after the actors from the series, particularly the women. It's basically his favorite. He was abused by his father and kept in the basement a lot of the time. And so he had the VHS tapes for Friday the 13th and for Halloween. And so he kind of considered the people in that to be his family. And so he would write them letters and they didn't write back. And so he took it very personal, like his family was rejecting him. And everybody, one of the unique parts about it is everybody is playing themselves. Obviously a fictional story of what's going on, but we try to, at least for most people, sometimes we didn't because for most people, we tried to give something that was true to who they are in real life. We couldn't do it in everyone because we needed certain things to happen. But like, for instance, Dee Wallace, she was, of course, in Halloween, E.T., Cujo, The Howling, The Frighteners, a zillion movies. And she's just this very kind, loving person. And so that's what we wanted to reflect on there. But she is playing an actress who is from Halloween being stalked. As I'm the director as well and the co-writer and co-producer, but I have a role in it as well. So I am playing Deborah Voorhees, who played in the Friday the 13th movie who is being stalked. And the same with each and everybody else in the film. And so it's an intense thriller. It is a whodunit and a horror film, all wrapped up into one. It's nothing like a documentary or anything like that. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It is a full-blown feature film, with all the great cuts and, great music and stuff and sound design and things, as opposed to trying to look like it's a documentary style something.
Yeah, and one of the things that is going on, I noticed it's one of the crowdsourced movies, which I'm still trying to understand how all that works.
Well, part of it was crowdsourced, but most of the money we raised via investors. We could have never made it off of just crowdsourcing. The only reason I decided to go ahead and do crowdsourcing is because the fans have been asking me for a very long time. They're just like, can't you do something? And usually what they wanted was me to do something that was basically a Friday the 13th movie. Kudos to everybody who makes the fan films. I think those are wonderful, but that's not what we are. And so if I had done a Friday the 13th film, it would have had to have been a fan film, or I would have had to somehow get the rights to make a Friday the 13th movie. And that's up in the air. There's no way that's going to happen. Plus, it's going to make the bill go sky high, getting the rights to do something like that. So instead, what I wanted to do was to make a film. This is very realistic. This isn't a guy coming up out of a grave and attacking people. That's so much fun. It's great fun at the movies. But when you leave, you're not afraid that he's coming up out of a grave and attacking you in the parking lot, right? That's not going to happen. You get the great scares. You jump, you go, you have a good laugh, because it's fun. It's just fun. But this is something that you go, oh shit, it could actually happen. And we actually have two of our actresses in it, Laura Park Lincoln and Judy Aronson, both had stalkers. And Adrienne King, whom we spoke to early on about doing something in it, backed out not once, but twice. She really wanted to do it and was trying really hard to make something work. But she had a real life stalker, and it just freaked her out too much. She told me, Deborah, you don't know this, but this is way too close for comfort for me. And she says, one day when I have a bottle of wine in me, I'll sit down and tell you about it. But otherwise, I don't talk about it. So, yeah, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, I remember hearing she only did a fraction of part two. And I remember
part two, right.
Because the stalker, she just was like, I'm not coming to work. I don't need this nonsense.
Right.
I can't even fathom that.
Right. Yeah, no, it is. It's really, I don't know her situation, but my understanding, it was pretty intense and quite frightening. The only part about her story I do know is that she tried to get away from him and went to London and he followed her.
Wow.
Well, we did an episode on celebrity stalkers a few months ago at this point, but it's crazy back in this, 60s, 70s, 80s, how easy it was to access, people's information and where they were and their home address and everything.
Even easier now.
Yeah.
Well, if it's some sort of mental illness, maybe it is. I don't know. I'm no psychiatrist. I'm the worst person to know, tell you anything about this stuff. But, I remember when we were young and we really were a lot of times we were babysat by our TV. So that idea of, you are my family. Yeah, I can kind of see it. When I meet people, like you, when I meet people from the other movies, when I meet people from all the shows that I watched, it feels more than just, oh, that's cool, I've watched you. It's a little bit like, I just met a long lost person and I want them to like me so much because I've liked them and I could see how some people, maybe a little bit more frail, will cross that line.
Exactly. And I do think that's what it is. I think largely it's probably is mental illness that would take you to that level, because that's pretty crazy. But there, you definitely, I know sometimes I'll be at a convention and I mean, mostly horror fans are absolutely amazing, but every once in a while you get somebody coming up to the table and they're sure you should know them. Oh, hi, don't you remember? I'm the one who commented on your post 6 months ago. And I said this. I'm like, I so want to tell you I remember, but I don't have a photographic memory of everybody who responded to a post, So there is, I think, now even a little bit more of that heightened sense of I know you, as opposed to, oh, this is a person I've conversed with online. And I have actually become friends with people who, started out as fans. In fact, I have people who actually worked on the film who started out as fans, but they had some great talent. And so I brought them aboard because they just fit what we needed. So it's kind of interesting, that whole fandom idea.
Yeah.
That's actually how I first heard about your movie, is through someone I believe who's in your movie, Bo Boykin.
Oh yes, he was an Indiegogo supporter, and he came out to be an extra on the film. I think he actually ended up saying a line in it too, because he was there and we were taking a shot, and he threw one out, and it worked fine for what we were doing. So,
I did the Indiegogo thing for Roseblood, for the
oh,
Friday the 13th fan film for that, and I met him there.
oh, cool,
Yeah.
cool. He's a nice guy.
Casey he won a contest, and Casey was able to be Jason for one kill.
Oh, nice.
Casey's like 8 foot tall, so it was perfect.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
I'm 6'2". I'm not quite that big.
Oh, sorry. Bad depth perception, even when it's, vertical.
Yeah, it was fun though.
Well, Case, I know you got some questions. Maybe we should just dive in.
We know you don't have a ton of time here, Deborah, so let's get into the fan questions. A lot of them, all of them have to do with Friday the 13th. Joe Matera would like to know if you actually got fired from your teaching job when your sex scene from A New Beginning was discovered.
2 jobs.
2 jobs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it turned out I really didn't think anybody would recognize me. And I even used a different name for teaching. When I first decided to teach, it didn't ever cross my mind that anybody would care. Why would anybody care? This is in the 80s,
Right.
This is, we're now in the 2000s. I think we can all get over this, right? Not so. So it was more about the school board and a handful of parents, because most of the parents backed me and most of the kids backed me. We had a couple in particular that were extremely religious, and yeah. So I basically heard the scaffolding being built outside. I'm quite sure if it had been in the 1500s, they would have burned me at the stake.
I'm pretty sure the kids didn't. Yeah, they probably backed you. I'm sure they backed
They
you.
were great. Honestly, I only knew of for sure one person who was very religious who didn't, but for the most part, my kids did back me. I'm sure there were some others other than her, but I know for sure she didn't. Yeah, it was definitely an interesting time. They decided to forbid me from going to the graduation, the second place that I taught at, because they said that I wasn't acceptable. And I said, well, I hate to tell you this. They threw me out like 3 weeks before they were supposed to graduate. And I was a senior teacher. I taught British literature. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm not going to not be there for my kids. And so they kind of hinted that maybe I might be removed. And I said, I suppose if you want to get that ugly with it, but I'm going to be there. And they finally said, okay, we've decided we'll allow you to come, but you can't sit with the teachers. I said, fine, I don't care. And so you guys both know Harper Valley PTA and that whole story behind that. When I walk out there, mind you, I am definitely in teacher's clothes. So I was not in, mini skirt and go-go boots or anything. And, I came with my hair back like it is now. So very respectful and everything. And everybody's like, oh, can't believe she'd have the nerve to come. I could hear some people saying it. I was like, oh, darling, you have no idea how much you do not scare me. And then it was very nice, though. Two of the kids and a couple of parents and stuff came over and stood next to me. They said, "Oh, we just thought we'd come and stand with you." I thought that was pretty sweet. And then when the ceremony was over and everybody said, the kids, how they throw their hats, and everybody was on the big football field. And so I went down to the football field because I was going to hug the necks of my kids. And the little boy who was he was not at all fully responsible, but he had been text messaging, I guess, my boobs around the school. And he was in tears because I never meant to hurt you. And I was like, I know that, of course I forgive you. It's not a big deal. It shouldn't have been a big deal. It was just, I can't blame him. He's a young kid and he just found out his teacher was in one of the most famous horror movies in all of history, naked. How can you not get kind of excited about that? That's kind of cool,
Yeah. So I was mixing the timeline up. So you weren't a teacher then, and then he got the job.
No. This is a long time after, because after I left Hollywood, I went to college, got my journalism degree. I was a longtime journalist with the Dallas Morning News and the Fort Worth Star Telegram and some magazines. And so it was after I left my journalism career that I decided to go and teach for a while. I wanted to help because I had a lot of really wonderful teachers who helped me out. And so I wanted to return that favor. And they didn't seem to like that, but that's okay. I am doing something that I love even more. And I did love being a teacher. And I'm back into filmmaking, and I feel like I have a winner on my hands. And so I'm super thrilled that I'm now have 13 Fanboy coming out. And if I'd been teaching, I probably wouldn't have, because it would have been too much to take on and have another job.
So let me just recap, because you are clearly the most industrious human being ever. Actor, right? Teacher. What else was in there?
Director, producer, journalist.
Journalist.
Yes.
All of these things take so much study. You must be a workaholic.
Some people say so. I don't. I say I like to play. I just happen to love everything I do.
That's a good way to look at it.
Mm-hmm. I think when we start saying that, oh, I've got to work, there's this negative connotation to this. No, I got to go do this today.
Yeah.
Even if you're cleaning houses, oh, good, I get to go do this today because I'm going to get some money and I'm going to go do this.
I agree with you 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I say to Casey all the time off the air, I'm like, oh man, young people, because I got a younger son. It's like, they seem to be inspired by people who are telling them, hey, you don't have to work as hard as you're working. And it scares the heck out of me, because it's
right?
like, the world isn't going to give you anything for free. You got to work.
You do. And, I've done all different kinds of jobs. I've actually, cocktails in bars. I actually shined shoes in bars back in the 80s. Remember when that was the thing boy, did it make me really strong arms. I actually did clean houses some too. So I've done a little bit of everything, but I've always done the medial work to get somewhere else. But I could make way more money slinging cocktails or even cleaning houses than that you can. You go in and you work at a store for, 10 to 13 bucks an hour, you'll never get ahead. But slinging cocktails, you can make some really good money doing that.
Yeah. So I hear, except I don't like to give the drinks away. I like to drink them.
You're the one slinging the money out, Bill.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So that's sort of what you mentioned there, sort of leads into another question that we had there from 3 Stan Man. He says, Part 5 is hugely underrated. Deborah was one of the best parts in it. As for his question, he would like to know, there's only a handful of movies listed on your IMDb page. Is there a particular reason that you didn't pop up in more 80s and 90s horror movies?
Pretty much after Friday the 13th, I decided to go home. And I went to college and graduated my journalism degree and went in a different direction. Part of it was because of I don't think it would have been a wrong decision to stay in Hollywood. There are many things about it that I really love, but particularly at that time, I don't think it's as bad now as it was then. Women were, sex objects. And I'm not saying I'm not going to say whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. I love men to be sex objects. So I can't really say that in a negative way. But I saw so many women who were twice my age trying to compete for the same roles that I was in. And there was this desperation and this anger, and trying to do this and color the hair and get the boobs up and tuck this and tuck that and the heels. And I was just like, oh, and I just felt so bad for them because I could just see it must have been horrible to feel that desperate, that you have to keep working, that you need to do all this stuff with your physical appearance. And, the reality is we all get old and we either go gracefully or we go trying really hard to do anything to make ourselves look a little bit younger. And I'm not saying one's a bad choice and one's a good choice. I don't mean that. But for me, I was just like, wow, this doesn't work for me. I don't think this is the right direction for me. And so I just decided not to. So, and in fact, I think y'all may know I was in Riptide and Dallas and Days of Our Lives as well. And when I left, I hadn't been back but 2 weeks and I was offered a regular recurring role on Days of Our Lives. So I could have turned around right then. And, I don't think that there was a right or wrong answer in that. I think I would have done well if I'd gone back. And I clearly did well going this direction. I love the variety, though, of my life. I have never wanted to do one thing. I love variety. I feed off of it. I need it. And so I'm happy with the road I took. But I think I would have been happy the other way, too, because that's just kind of how I am. Whatever I decide to do, why fuss about it if you think, oh, I did the wrong decision? Really, because I don't know how you know if you made a right or wrong decision because you can't replay it. For all you know, it may have been worse or as bad or as wonderful. But whatever it is what it is. So I'm just happy to be where I am.
It's interesting. We had John Shepard on the show too. John was in the movie with you. He was in part 5 with you. He was Tommy. And just like you, that was his last movie as well. So my first thought when you said I was done after that, I was like, that movie must have really messed people up.
No, nothing like that. Not at all. It had nothing to do with Friday the 13th or anything. And I'm trying to remember, I may have done something else after that because I can't say for sure that was really the last one that I did. But I wanted to go to college. I really did.
So you said that you had a chance to go back into Hollywood and you turned it down, but right away people must have some sort of attraction to you. What do you think? And you are one of the more popular Friday the 13th actors that as far as I'm concerned, and my friends in my circle coming up. Mm-hmm. What is it about you? Why does everybody love you?
I don't know. I feel very blessed by that, honestly. I'm sure there's plenty of people who don't, but for the people who contact me, and I've been very lucky that people have been very kind to me, and I am very grateful for that.
All right, so back into the fan questions. Captain Joey would like to know, were you aware of any of the other Friday the 13th films before going into this? Or a fan of them?
I'd seen the first one with Adrienne King, and it was a lot of fun. So I thought it would be pretty neat to be a part of it, and I'm glad I did it. I'm very much so. Even if I got kicked out of 2 schools, I told my kids one day, I said, "Do you want your story to be, I taught for 30 years and then retired? Or do you want, I taught for a few years and then I got thrown out because I was naked in Friday the 13th, and then I went out and became a filmmaker?" And they went, "The second one?"
We actually got this question a lot. Did you wish that your character was in the video game, the Friday the 13th video game?
It is. I've been told it is, at least. They have. Okay. I've seen my the blanket and the garden shears and all of that. I don't know if they
Okay.
actually made a character that looks like me or not, but I know that my scene and everything is right there. So I'm assuming that there would be some little creature running around that resembled at least dark hair and that sort of thing.
Do you remember it, Bill? These gamers, they all wanted to know that question.
I don't believe they had a character that was you, but now that I'd have to go through the likeness could have been a thing they did.
Right. Take a look and let me know. But I do know that I had more than one send me a picture of the garden shears and stuff. And I'm the only one to go that way. So those are my babies.
You might need to go get some money. I mean, some people. Is it possible? Are you still making money from? I'm not so sure how residuals and all that work.
You do get residuals, but sometimes they're so ridiculously tiny. It's like, you guys want to just keep it. But not really. I cash the checks, but I do sometimes wonder why they do that. So
yeah.
All right, we know you don't have too much time here. Let's ask this final one. Zombies 8 Kyle. These are all Reddit names. Zombies 8 Kyle would like to know, he read that Steinman was difficult director to work with. What was it like working with him? Was there anything surprising about the way the movie came out compared to how it felt during filming?
I knew I was sniffing it out. So the director was a bad guy. All right, let's get to the dirt.
Definitely not. I think it's like anything that sometimes personalities, they don't mix very well. I can say that Danny was always very kind and very nice to me. Yeah, I really never had any trouble with him at all. I found him easy to get along with, and he was helpful on set. Like, for example, when, by the time I had the mask on my face with the blood and stuff, I couldn't see anything. And of course, I'm also naked. So he picks me up from the makeup. And so I had, of course, at that time I had a robe, but I had to be walked to set very carefully so that I didn't trip and fall because I literally couldn't see anything. And he was very gentle and made sure that I knew where to step and, that I didn't trip or anything. And, he made sure that I was well taken care of on set. And I don't know why, but my particular scene had a lot of false information, a lot of just flat out lies that was just kind of mind blowing to me. But I thought, well, I think it was mainly because, it's given the role I had and everything, it was a way of kind of selling things. Like, for instance, one, they said that the original cut of the scene was much, much longer. Well, granted, I didn't see the original cut, but I don't know how it could possibly have been much longer. We just kissed, and that would have been a really boring 3 minutes. After a while, you're like going, okay, so why you move this along, And so things like that. I mean, could they have extended it a little bit, like maybe 15 seconds? Yeah, sure. They probably could have done that with no problem, but nothing like what they were talking about. And I think that was more about titillation to try and get people to, horror fans really like to think that there was something that happened that they didn't get to see, Another one with mine was they said there was a rumor going around that they had to cut the garden shears actually going through the eyes because it didn't pass the ratings board. That never happened. There was never, ever a shot like that. If they had a shot like that, they would have had to give me a full prosthetic. And they only did it to like right here. Well, I guess it's about right here, and they gave room for my nose to breathe. But they would have had to have done the whole face in order to pull that stunt off. That never happened. And so it's just, there were several things along the way like that. I was like, wow, I don't know. Yeah, there's some kind of backbiting too that I've heard. And I just, it's like, oh, well, it is what it is.
Well, it's creative minds all getting together. It's a bunch of people who really don't know each other that well. It's like, it's kind of like construction work in my mind.
Right. Well, and you have one person say one little thing, and then that person says, "Well, I heard this," and then somebody else stretches that a little bit, and they go, "Well, I heard this," and then before you know it, you're like going, "I'm sorry, I was there. I know what happened."
All types of different personalities trying to mix together. Some work, some don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we were going to be gentlemen and not ask some of the questions about your nude scene, but Deborah, you brought it up. So
I was naked in the film.
yeah. Apparently, people remember that.
They do somehow or another.
So I always have never had anybody on the show to ask this question, but you're doing a nude scene. How many people are around? Do more people suddenly show up, or is it?
No,
I've heard of closed sets too. Yeah. So what's it like doing that
The
scene?
closed set is only people that are absolutely necessary on set. And, that's nice. It's very helpful. What I do though, when I did that scene, I had to put on blinders everywhere. In fact, I do that when I'm acting no matter what. I just close everybody off, because if I suddenly am aware of the grip that's standing right there while I'm trying to have a scene, or I'm suddenly aware of the director standing over here, or suddenly aware of the sound person or something, then I'm not going to be natural. And I think that's what kind of got me through that scene, because it's a little nerve-wracking. It's my first day on set, and I'm not just topless, I'm full naked, in front of a bunch of people I don't know.
Yeah.
And then finally blind and naked. You tell me if that's a comfortable position to be in, because I'll blindfold you guys and then we'll just strip you naked and walk you out and see how you're feeling.
I've been there at some points in my life with too much beer on the beach at night, but yeah, I've never gotten paid for it.
Right.
Is it in the script and you have to agree to it kind of going in?
Yeah, no, I knew beforehand that there was going to be some nudity in it. So, and I mean, the nudity itself didn't really bother me, because I don't really think that there's anything wrong with it. It's just that, that doesn't mean that also means that I'm going to run around and go to a nudist colony either, because that's not really my thing either. One, I think everybody should wear pants, because they're sitting on chairs. And we all know what happens with come on, let's keep pants on, just cleanliness. I don't really care if you're naked, but don't sit.
Yeah. We've been in pandemic for too long. We all have to put our pants on.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. I think what I should have done was just tell everybody, okay, if I'm getting naked, everybody else does. Off. Everybody's clothes off. We're all going to stand around here and feel as awkward. But, my co-star, he had to be naked too. So
I think it's crazy they bring you in there on the first day and that's what they do.
Well, it actually makes a lot of sense. I know in some ways I can completely see why that would seem like not a great idea, but I think it was really smart, because otherwise you're worrying about it the whole time. And I think one of the other reasons too, from their perspective, not mine, but their perspective, what if they had shot everything with me and then I wouldn't do the nude scene? Get that one out of the way and then they could shoot everything else.
Right.
There you go, Bill.
There it is. You were supposed to be a gentleman, Casey. Please. We got to talk after this. When the movie came out, the movie was kind of controversial, right? We talked to John about this as well. And I'm going to ask you a question I probably did ask John, but I don't remember. When it came out, my understanding was a lot of people were like, oh, that's the fake Jason movie. That's the fake one. We don't like that one. And as the fandom has grown, more people have gone to that one. I've seen people, say this is really the best one. This one's got mystery. This one's got, some of those grindhouse qualities.
Right.
We even said to John, I think this is true. I don't know for sure, that Quentin Tarantino's there's been rumors about him making a Friday the 13th because he's a fan. And
I know he's a big fan. And if I have heard correctly,
he's a fan of yours. Part 5.
That's what I hear.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's a great, it's a great slasher. It really is. And I actually think it harkens more back to the original. Think about it. It's a whodunit. Both of them were whodunits. And they were both bereaved parents behaving in irrational ways with people who really had nothing to do with their kids' death. You know, they were crazy, quite crazy. But maybe I tend to be blissfully unaware, but I don't think so. I feel like I pay quite close attention to things, but I personally never experienced any blowback. But I know that Melanie did, and I know that Dick Whean did, and I know Tom Morga did. But I didn't. And so why, I don't know. I didn't know until many years later that it was controversial. And frankly, I went to the premiere, of course, but then I decided I wanted to go to see the movie and see how the fans responded. And I can tell you, when I was there in that theater, there wasn't any controversy. They loved it. They had all the right reactions in the right place. They came out. I really think that it was a group that, kind of like they were the ones, they kept saying it's a problem, it's a problem, it's a problem. If, people say it long enough and loud enough, if I start getting up on social media and started telling people there's a problem in an area and 10 more people add on and 100 more people and 1,000 and 10,000, most of our problems in this world have to do with our perception of a problem as opposed to any kind of real problems. So I know without a doubt that there were definitely some fans that were problematic as far as, or were upset about it. And every once in a while I'll get somebody who'll tell me they were at the time, but now they've gone back and it's become their favorite now. They went back and decided to watch it and now it's their favorite. And then, or they'll say, I was being kind of silly because look, it's got some of the best kills in the franchise. I absolutely loved it till the second of the reveal. And I was like, really? Does that really make sense? But it's okay. I mean, think about it. Is there a human being on this planet that hasn't had kind of one of those moments? 'Cause I'm a purist in this area or that area. I'm that way with baked goods because I do not want to eat cookies out of a box or made up from ingredients from a box. I want everything homemade, cakes, cookies, pies, everything. So we all have our one little thing that we're kind of stuck up and snobbish about, and that's okay.
Yeah. Sure.
It's kind of fun. It kind of just makes me think like, humans, we're kind of funny. We're kind of cute because we latch on to these like silly little things and then we have to have our little arguments and stuff about it. I don't know. It's kind of cute. It amuses me. But I never really saw it until somebody said, and I was like, huh? Why? What? I was baffled. I had no idea.
Yeah, I had mentioned we had Peter Anthony on. Peter Anthony directed the Roseblood fan film that Casey was in. And, he said he's getting some heat. People are being kind of angry about him making something. And to me, the fandom is always, we'd like to bicker, but nobody actually gets upset by anybody. But I guess maybe it's a little bit more heated now with social media.
Why were they upset with him?
Well, his storyline is a sequel to Part 7.
Right.
And he just kind of took it and ran with it. And since it's not a real, technically a real movie, as he said that people were saying.
That's the case with all of the, quote, fan films. It's not technically, that's how they get away with being able to do it, because otherwise they get slapped with the copyright law. They basically, they can put it up on like places like YouTube, Vimeo, but they can't make a profit at it. And it's supposed to be under a certain number of minutes too. And so I don't know. It's probably just a handful of people who decided that this is their little thing they want to be mad about. I've been as guilty at times, like I said, those cakes and cookies, damn it, they better be made right. And there is no such thing as white chocolate. Sorry.
No, that's true.
And if it's not chocolate, it's not chocolate if it's white. So I have my own little weirdo things too.
I agree with everything you
White
said.
chocolate is pretty good, though. Come on.
You like white chocolate?
It's pretty good.
No, it's all wrong.
I can actually kick him out of this podcast.
Could you? I mean, that is a kind of a huge infraction with liking of white chocolate. That's like wrong.
All right, I'll never eat it again.
Okay, well,
he probably likes black licorice too.
No, I don't.
actually, I do like black licorice, but I won't eat it very often, just here and there. Chocolate's my addiction.
Yeah.
Right here.
Front page news.
Yep.
It's going out tomorrow.
That's right. She's an addict.
It's been great talking with you. You are so much fun. Do we have any other questions, Case? I'm afraid we're going to run out of time.
That's it.
All right. Well, I would just like to say that 13 Fanboy is opening on October 22nd. We will be in select theaters across the United States and on about every VOD, in demand, and pay-per-view platform out there, all the major ones. And we'll have DVDs and such. Probably December, but we don't have a release date for that yet, but that'll be in all the major outlets as well. And so, yeah, we're super excited about it, and we'll see where it goes from here. It's been a blast. It really has been.
If it does really well and people love it, would you make a sequel?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I've got a couple ideas that really, since we first started writing the first one, I've been mulling over some ideas, and my producing partner, he's been mulling ideas over with me. His name's Joel Paul Reisig. He's the co-producer and co-writer on the script. But yeah, horror fans are great.
In it.
This is why I wanted to do it, was because, horror fans you guys are really pretty damn cool. Really kind of fun to hang out with, and they kept asking me, do something. And like they wanted to bring back some of the characters. Most of their ideas were all about, making another Friday the 13th, and that wasn't going to happen. And that wasn't really, I would, if somebody wanted me to direct a Friday the 13th, I'd be thrilled to do it. But it wasn't what I was looking to do. I wanted to do something else. And so when we came up with the idea of the stalking, it made perfect sense.
It looks great.
Thank you.
We wish you all the success. This is when you make the sequel, make sure you include 2 podcasters in it, and we will show up. We're always on time.
Awesome.
We take scale, whatever that means.
Awesome. Very good to know.
Social media where anybody can find you?
Yes, absolutely. On Facebook, it's Deborah Voorhees Sheer Horror Group. And sheer is spelled like garden shears through the eyes. And then I have my personal page, which it's, I'm at my max as far as people. I know I have a few openings right now because I just got rid of some people that were no longer on Facebook. But I pretty much stay at my max all the time. But I am public, so you still can follow what I'm doing. I have 13 Fanboy page as well. And I'm working on a website. I do have VoorheesFilmsProductions.com, which you can learn about it. I don't go there a lot. I put up the information and I go by and update it. The Share Horror, and then is probably the best place to catch me. I am just learning how to do Twitter, which is way easier than freaking Instagram. I have it. I have a personal Instagram and I have a 13 Fanboy Instagram, and I'm still don't know what the hell I'm doing. And Twitter, though, I'm starting to just barely get it down. And so it's going much better, and I'm getting some follows. If anybody will follow me on Twitter, I'd really appreciate it. Both 13 Fanboy and me, please.
Well, you got to get on the TikTok too. You got to do the TikTok.
Man. I'm like, what is this and why? Apparently that's where the kids are. Is that right?
We're not supposed to understand. It's like when we were young, our parents thought the Beatles were the worst thing in the world, and we just thought, they don't get it. Right now, our kids are like, they don't get TikTok.
But what is it exactly? I don't even.
Very short videos. Do you know Jason Brooks, right, from Vengeance and all that? He has a pretty popular TikTok. If you could follow his social media.
And
Find
so
out.
all you do, it's all videos all the time.
Yeah, it's just short little videos, or I think they add pictures. I've made a few of them. We have one of those there, Tic Tacs. I've made a few of them. They're just real short videos.
Okay.
I'm avoiding it. I want nothing to do with any more social media. I think we already have enough social media.
That's kind of how I'm feeling. I just
Yeah.
have enough. If I can master Twitter, I'm going to consider it a great victory. But to have to do videos every day,
That's
Yeah, it's a lot of
and
work.
Instagram, it seems like the only way it works well is if you take the picture yourself. And
Yeah.
everything else, if you're wanting to do it a different way, it's like, I don't know. Not a very
Yeah.
big fan of that
And
one.
hashtags are a big thing on Instagram. You gotta
And
use
we've been doing hashtags. Everybody gets on to me because I kept not doing hashtags. I'm like I was going, why do we do hashtags? Could somebody please explain this? Why can't it be trending just by the two words that are together and you do the search and it's right there? Why do you have to do hashtag? But I guess I kind of understand it because, if they're not right together, then, we'll pick up something from 13, something from Fanboy, and pull it together. So that's telling you specifically to look for those things. So I've been mastering the hashtags. Very
You're
impressive,
good.
isn't it? You're a 60-year-old woman.
If you need any help with anything, just let us know. We'll try to help you any way we can.
Thank you. Well, if you want to open up my first TikTok account, maybe you can.
You don't want to let Casey do that. No.
You're going to have to put on some gray hair and play me, though.
That's great.
All right, you
Thank you
guys.
so much, Deborah. I appreciate
Thank
this.
you. I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for having me.